to get them some choice.
All right. So, thank you very much for being here again. This isn't going to take, as I mentioned, nearly as long as the first presentation because it is a different kind of book. We don't have a lot of photographs to talk about. There aren't. If there are any stories to talk about, you know, they are personal stories, and you know, I do have experience that experiences that led me to write this story. I mentioned at the beginning when we started the Raw Thoughts presentation that it was this book that actually got me started writing. I wrote about 50 pages of this about 5 years ago, and then put it aside because I wasn't happy with the way it was coming along. I wasn't happy with the depth of the characters and things like that. But it was always envisioned as a trilogy. It was always envisioned as a spy thriller with kind of the same lead character in each book. All of that is pretty cliche, right? This is very Jason Bourne-ish and that sort of thing. But one thing that I didn't want, and which is why I put it away to think about it for literally a few years, but what I didn't want was to have that cliche spy novel. I wanted it to be different, and so it's not classified as a spy thriller exactly. If you read the back, it's classified as a psychological spy thriller. The lead character's name is Michael Dolan. The names of most of the characters actually have some meaning behind them. Michael, as you know, is the archangel. He's very much a powerful angel. He's God's right-hand man. He can, you know, he can fight, right? But his last name is kind of the opposite, right? So Michael is also an angel. Dolan, though, is an Irish name, and it means black sheep, kind of the black sheep of the family. Like there's something going on there. And when we say black, I'm not saying he's a bad person. I'm not saying that he does bad things. It's more about what's going on in his head. So the main character has history and issues that nobody knows about, and he's dealing with these problems as he works through the this deep cover role that he's been assigned to by the CIA, right? Michael Dolan is not a traditional spy. When you get to the end of the book, he's still not a spy, okay? But he's been pulled into a black CIA operation because of a few different things. People that he knew from his past, and the CIA wanted to kind of insert him into a situation where that would give them better visibility into what they thought was a terror cell in Paris that is forming and perhaps planning or maybe even ready to attack U.S. Interests, people in Europe. I never worked in the CIA. However, I did work for DIA, the Defense Intelligence Agency. I did work with the CIA off and on in certain situations. But the focus of this book isn't so much on, you know, all the secrets and the cool toys the CIA uses. That stuff's in there. The focus really is on the devolutionary nature of what's going on in Michael Dolan's head as he executes the various parts of his mission. And things get more and more difficult for him as the story goes along, and it takes kind of a toll on him. And but he's able to handle it, right? He's a strong person. He's big. He has a photographic memory. He's a 4th degree black belt, national sparring champion. There are lots of things and abilities that he has that he's able to counterbalance those mental issues that he's having with. Anyway, it's what makes this book pretty interesting. It's been nominated for the IBPA, the Independent Book Publishing Association Benjamin Franklin Award. It's a big. Very grateful for that, and I think it talks a little bit to the quality of the book itself. And I'll read just a little bit from it, right? I promise not to keep you here very long. And I don't want to read from the middle or the end, because there's just, by the time you get to the end, there's so much going on. I'm going to give something up if I read out there. So I'm gonna pick chapter 3. It's a short chapter. And it's going to maybe leave some questions in your head about what happened in chapter 1 and chapter 2, right? But you'll have to read the book if you want. Michael Dolan woke to the slow, methodical build of La Mer, his favorite 9 Inch Nails composition. It wasn't a typical fan favorite. This was not a gritty, coarse industrial song. It was a beautiful and orchestral song, composed by Trent Reznor as he contemplated suicide. Dolan routinely allowed himself 3 minutes to become fully alert. The song was appropriate. It woke him gradually, calmly. It begins slowly and evolves note by note to a muted crescendo before easing back to a lightly melodic end. In a way, it mirrored his everyday life. He stared up the ceiling, focusing on nothing in particular. Then he began to gather his thoughts, prioritizing and building an agenda for the next 17 hours. It was an easy thing for him. Very few people he'd known in life were able to memorize as well as he. For all intents and purposes, his memory was photographic. First thing to do, exercise. He casually threw off the blanket and rose, turned on the light, and slipped into his running gear. He grabbed his iPhone from his dresser, put a pot of premium dark roast coffee onto brew, and left his Spartan one-bedroom apartment. The traffic in Roslyn was just getting started. All those early shift DC commuters. He zigzagged his way at a casual pace out of the urban community, traversed the footbridge over Route 66, and linked up with the Custis Trail heading west. He gradually increased his pace until he settled in at a 7-minute mile and began to concentrate, easing into his zone. People tended to glance twice at him as he ran by. His rugged good looks, jet black hair, and 6-foot lean but muscular frame set him apart. He didn't notice them as he went over each of his meetings and tasks scheduled for the day, each process input and output, noting every prerequisite and unfinished requirement. It was his way of ensuring he would begin work in an itemized and efficient fashion. He finished his mental collation and held up his Garmin watch to make out the distance and time, squinting past tiny beads of sweat clinging to his eyelashes. 3.4 miles. Shit. Too far. He slowed quickly and turned back, this time pushing to a 6-minute pace. That puts me 4 minutes behind schedule, he calculated. Dolan slowed to a walk within a quarter mile of his building. By the time he reached the doorway to his apartment, his breathing and heart rate were back to normal. He went inside, dropped his house key, phone, and earbuds on the kitchen table, and filled a tall glass of water from the refrigerator door dispenser. He drank it quickly and walked to his bedroom, where he undressed and stepped into the shower. La Mer was still playing on his stereo system on a continuous loop. As he dried off, as usual, he was whispering the barely perceptible French Creole lyrics from the end of the song under his breath. En rien peut arrêter Keene. Nothing can stop me now. His daily affirmation. After a quick breakfast of 2 eggs, a small bowl of muesli, and a glass of carrot juice, he left his apartment and walked briskly to the metro station. He took the blue line toward Franconia. 2 stops later, he was at the Pentagon, exiting the dull concrete station with hundreds of others, a shifting mosaic of various military uniforms interspersed with business suits and similar dress. He had a nickname for them, the Herd. He despised the Herd. It was as if the Metro had some strange power over people, capable of temporarily transforming otherwise intelligent professionals into base, mindless automatons. He wasn't one of them. He refused to be. He'd never consider sprinting down an escalator to make it just before the train doors closed, especially if he were still in uniform. He'd never weave his way through the herd, desperately seeking a rare, unoccupied seat. He refused to spend his commute mere inches from 6 other people staring at his phone and scrolling through a vacuous plastic life, one friend at a time, motionless and unaware of his surroundings. He wasn't one of them. He was different. He knew he was because he was. He was unique, acutely aware, capable of operating on a higher plane of consciousness that defied the impaired nature of the herd. It was this ability in part that allowed him to overcome and wall off the dark, fragmented pieces of his soul. It was an enigmatic, almost circular logic that those compartmentalized pieces were also the catalyst for his relentless pursuit of perfection. It didn't much matter that he didn't yet understand how or why it worked for him, only that it worked. He found it interesting that the herd would, after its quotidian demonstration of hive mindlessness, end up passing through the tall wooden front doors of the Pentagon and through security, only to disperse immediately in myriad directions along the various floors, rings, and hallways, only to end up in their appointed cubicle to begin formulating what they individually believe to be, right or not, some of the most important strategic decisions in the world. And so I'm going to keep it there, right? So I'm going to stop there. Chapter 3, Chapter 1, Chapter 2, all the way through probably around Chapter 10, there's a lot of character development going on. What I didn't want to do was jump into, a scene where there's, shooting going on or explosions, and because I know that that's probably more interesting at a reading. But again, I want to get back to the point that I made earlier, that this book, while it has all of that, it is a true spy thriller. Believe me, it is. In my opinion, it would make a great movie.
Well, that's what I was wondering, actually, have you been approached?
Well, it just came out.
Yeah.
I mean, literally, this book got printed for the very first time about a month ago. So maybe 6 to 10 years from now, who knows? But for now, I just would like people to read it. But it is what's going on in Michael Dolan's head that is just as important as what's going on in the plot. And the two are indelibly intertwined, right? Because his decision-making is influenced by the way he thinks. And his decisions are what ultimately make a lot of things happen near the end of the book. And it's also unique because nobody else knows what's going on in his head. That what's going on in his head is not everyone's perception of normal, right? I think you caught part of that as I was talking about the way he was thinking, right? I mean, why he listens to this song every single morning and his daily affirmation, nothing can stop me now, and how he collates everything and compartmentalizes everything. He's a character that has a lack of empathy. Doesn't really understand what other people feel because he compartmentalizes so well, right? So people who can compartmentalize well, and I get this from myself, okay? And I've learned to overcome that because it is not a healthy thing to do. But someone who compartmentalizes very, very well learns to compartmentalize fear, learns to compartmentalize anger, distrust, all these things that can hurt me. I learned to compartmentalize them so that I don't show fear, I don't show anger, I show control. That's a pretty good thing for a spy. It's a pretty good thing for someone that's in the military. This character is not me, okay? There's a lot of things in there that I write about that I experienced something similar, or I was in similar situations. You know, you might ask, were you ever involved in top secret, black operations? And my answer to you was no, I was never involved in any top secret black operations. Right? Tiffany, hello. And that's what that's what you're supposed to say, and then that's the right thing to say. And so the bottom line is you write best about things that you know. And so that's what I've been doing, right? That I know about what's in this book, and I know about what's in this book. And there's a lot of stuff that's made up in this book also. All right, so don't take it all for truth or something. It's not. It is fiction, 100%. Page 1 to page 312 or 307. So that's it. Again, thank you very much for coming, and for those that were here for both, for 2 solid hours, thank you very much. Please take some of that food. If you drink wine, take one of those bottles with you. I don't think anyone had any. So.
A couple people did.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I don't drink wine, so if you want anything that's over there on that table, please take it home, and that includes like the cutlery and stuff. So I think I signed everyone's books already, but if there's anyone else that would like one, please come up.